That's one of the reasons I love sales, is because you actually have way more authority than you think you actually do. Good morning, Sales Ascender! What's happening today? Hope you guys are doing awesome. I hope you've had a terrific week so far. Just getting started here for the week. It is Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday! What kind of tacos are you going to eat today? Let me know in the comments below. I'm so excited. I got a great question today. Came in from a guy named Jason P. Jason asked me this. He said, Sean, when I meet with multiple people on Zoom, one person is always 5 to maybe 10 minutes late, and then I have to restart the entire conversation. Is there any best practices here? So maybe, have you ever been in that place where you're doing a meeting, maybe it's with a prospect, maybe it's internally in your organization, and then all of a sudden somebody else comes in and they do have some authority within the organization, and it's basically like you have to start over. I hate this. This is so annoying. Why? Because it wastes so much time, and it's just literally something that I'm like, oh, why do we have to do this again like this? If you've ever experienced that, please comment below, because I know so many people get stuck in this one. And so I can actually recall a time when I was running my electronics company. One of the things that I had to always do was have these production meetings. And so my production manager, her name was Pat, and she was awesome. And she would always show up on time, and she'd be there ready to go. And then we had one of our lead technicians. His name was Jim. And Jim was basically the guy who ran some of our really, really heavy duty, big 7-figure equipment to make these circuit boards. And he had a big agenda. He had a little team behind him. And so he was always late into our meetings. And I used to just get so annoyed because he was like a critical piece to be in the meetings. And we would start going down the path of my production manager. And then she would be like, where's Jim? We need him in this part. And all of a sudden, Jim would show up like 10 minutes late. And the next thing you know, the whole meeting had to be restarted. It totally wasted like 15 minutes of my life, everyone's life in that meeting. And it was just a frustrating thing. It's like, Jim, why do you keep doing this? And it happened 3, 4, 5, 6 times. By about the 7th time, I got to this place where I was like, this isn't going to happen anymore. And so the next time Jim walked in late, I said, Jim, you're not allowed to be at this meeting. Please, can you excuse yourself and leave? And I literally just booted him out. Now, I had the authority at the time to do that because it was my company, but it's the same token, he never was late to a meeting after that ever again because he knew that he had to be there. And we had some words after the meeting, and I said, listen, man, it's really important for you to be here for these reasons. And so I share that with him. And so when it turns into like a sales conversation, how do we stop it? So how do we have that like very authoritarian like conversation where you say, you know what? You're not allowed to come to this meeting any longer. Like, you need to not be here. So that's when you're inside the organization, and that's what's happening. When you're outside the organization and you're doing like a sales conversation, and just like this was happening here, somebody shows up late to a meeting, that's going to be a little bit on you, but more on them, right? And so here's what I suggest. The best practice for this to actually make this never happen is at the end of the meeting previous to the one where the people are showing up late, at the end of the meeting, the one previous, there's this little stage in our sales system, the sales method that we teach. It's called a clear future. So clear future very simply is 2 things. At the end of the meeting, after we've talked about everything, then we go back and we say, okay, listen, your little piece of homework is this, whatever that little piece is that they have to do, make sure you task them with something. And then secondly, you set the time and the date and the attendees and who's going to be there and what the meeting is going to be about. So basically the agenda for the call that's up and coming. And so what I do in those meetings is I say, hey, listen, like, Jason, I know that you're going to be there, and we also need Bob and Kyle. Now, in respect for everybody's time, like this meeting is scheduled for this time on the calendar, and these 2 guys can make it. Is this correct? And when Jason says yes, now you have an ability to go back to Jason and say, hey, why are these guys late? I'm not going to start this meeting until they show up. And so that would be the first thing, to put a little bit of pressure on the person that's helping you organize the meeting. And then the second thing to do is literally the day before the meeting, reach out to the person you've kind of been working with and say, listen, Jason, you mentioned that Kyle and Scott were going to be in this meeting at this time. I just wanted to confirm because I got a lot of information. I don't want to waste anybody's time. So they're going to be there on time. Is that correct? And when he then will go that day before and actually confirm the meeting with them, next thing you know, now you're going to have all those people, or at least a higher probability of people being in the meeting on the right time. Now, If you're in the conversation and then all of a sudden that person comes in afterwards, when you get started with that meeting, the first thing you can do is say, hey, listen, like Jason, Kyle, and Scott were supposed to be here. Like, should we just wait? And then just be quiet, because Jason's going to feel all this pressure, and it's going to feel like the weight of the world is on him, and he's the one that needs to go and get Kyle and Scott in the meeting because that's what you guys all agreed to. And if that doesn't even work, when somebody gets to the meeting a little bit late, then there's two ways you can do it. You can stop and restart from the beginning, which is like such a painful thing to do. Or you can just literally be like, if Kyle came in late, it'd be like, hey Kyle, I'll fill you in later. Just kind of sit down, tag along, and just like instruct them to be quiet and sit down into the meeting. And that's, if you're in the meeting, that's probably the best way to just say, hey, listen, I'll fill you in with everything that you missed because you're late after this meeting. So just hang with us. Let's go through this thing and we'll get through it. And all of a sudden, Kyle will feel like garbage because you literally just put him in his place, rightfully, because he missed a meeting with you, because your time is extremely valuable, just like theirs is. Even though they're the prospect, yes, you are solving a problem for them, yes, which is the bigger deal. So that's one of the reasons I love sales, is because you actually have way more authority than you think you actually do. When you walk in and you know you can solve a problem for somebody better than anybody on the planet, and literally they're disrespecting you by coming in late or missing a meeting or whatever, and they don't give you any notice, it's literally like a slap in your face. And you say, hey, listen, you can just sit there and hang out. I'll fill you in after we get done. But like we're starting here. And literally that person will feel like terrible, and they'll never miss another meeting with you again. I know this because I've done it so many different times. And so I wanted to share that with you today. Jason, I hope that answers your question. I've given you several different scenarios, but the most effective one, just to recap really quickly, go back in the meeting prior to the one you're going to have all the people there and just confirm that the person you're setting that meeting with is now responsible to make sure those other people are going to be in the meeting on time. And when you do that, you won't have this issue show up as often or ever, and you'll be in a much better place. With that said, guys, this was a short one today. Happy high ticket tune-up. Happy Taco Tuesday. Let me know in the comments below, what is the taco that you're about to go eat today? I love your face, and I hope this one gives you the wings to go close the deal. We'll talk to you soon.